Welcome to the first official episode of the 20-Minute Investor Podcast, the show where I help time-strapped professionals build wealth through real estate and small business investing in just 20 minutes per day. After more than 2 years and over 150 episodes of the Hybrid Real Estate Professional Podcast, I decided to change the name this year to more accurately reflect the value proposition of the show and provide more targeted, actionable insights that you can implement immediately after each episode. When I started this podcast in 2023, the goal was very simple. I was distilling lessons from my own real estate journey, building 8 rental property portfolio across 3 states in just under 3 years, while raising children and working full time. And second was to share conversations with people in my network, sharing those conversation and insights from my network with a broader audience. These were the 2 kind of tenets that I started this show on. And what happened was it spurred a ton of great conversations that I never would have had otherwise. And it gave me a whole new foundation for my own investing journey that I've been grateful to be able to share back with my audience. But originally, the topic of a hybrid real estate professional, this was something very personal to me. This term, hybrid real estate professional, describes someone who has multiple different identities, whether it's a primary career, family, even a hobby or something that you do that's very personal and meaningful to you, and of course, building real estate portfolio. These are all these different intersecting domains in life. And the hybrid real estate professional concept was someone who, instead of flipping a switch every time you context switch between these 2 things, each of these different identities, you actually acknowledge that unique intersection of your identity and use it as a superpower. But as you can see by me trying to explain that, that's a bit hard to follow for your everyday person. When people really understand it, they do relate to the hybrid real estate professional concept, but it took a while to kind of get through. Therefore, what I realized is that in the message of my show, I was kind of losing a lot of people right out of the get-go. And this was also, a way that it's something that really resonated with me, but it didn't necessarily relate to the core audience. And while I do think there's value in sharing my own journey as I go through it, I want a better way to relate directly to the challenges that I know people that are listening to this show have. And what I found was the one real constraint that everyone can relate to is time. We, for the most part, I'm speaking to people that have similar, at least life alignment as myself, with younger children, a full-time job, and trying to build a real estate portfolio. But at the end of the day, we're all constrained by the same 24 hours in a day. And you hear these, phrases online. People talk about, hey, Bill Gates has the same 24 hours that you do. So what's your excuse? I'm not talking about what's your excuse here. I'm talking about the fact that everyday people living everyday life are forced to adapt to the constraints that they have based on the responsibilities and obligations they have. So, many people and most people have a job or an employer that they're beholden to. That employer has expectations. In exchange for you meeting or exceeding those expectations, you get a paycheck and potentially career advancement, development, etc. That's one example of a constraint that is very, very common that we all, almost everyone I would venture to guess listening to this, has dealt with or is currently dealing with. Similarly, if you have children, of course, it is an honor and it is both an honor and an obligation to take care of and provide for your children and make sure that they have what they need to grow and flourish in their own lives. And that is a real constraint that takes real energy and real time. And so what happens, in the world of real estate investing is it's easy for that stuff to get deprioritized and be pushed completely to the wayside in favor of these things that are, of course, arguably much more important. But what we've done with the 20-minute investor system is that it really was built out of constraints instead of meant to shatter them. So my business partner, Nathan, and I, we started the Remote Real Estate Academy back in 2023, around the same time that I started the podcast. And the whole goal was around how to help people invest anywhere in the United States from anywhere in the world, right? It was a completely location agnostic approach. But one other thing that was so important embedded in our approach was that we had done it while working full time and raising children. So we had worked backwards into a system that could still work with our daily lives, even though we had all those extra responsibilities and obligations. And so we learned this system that was born out of necessity rather than sitting, with a whiteboard and thinking about what actually sounds good. And so that 20-minute investor system really changed the way that I approach my life. I know Nathan as well. And so what we did was we packaged all that up into a time management and productivity system that real estate investors can use in their businesses. And so the whole thing is predicated on simply protecting 20 minutes per day. It can be 5 days a week or it can be 7 days a week. The goal is consistency. The goal is being thoughtful. The goal is managing towards your constraints instead of around them. And we're really, really excited to unpack not only that methodology, but be able to provide it for free through the Remote Real Estate Academy school community. And if you want to check that out, it is now free to access. You can actually go to aaronamin.com/school. That's SKOOL. And you can request free access to the community and download that entire playbook and all of our workflows. So in conclusion, I've really enjoyed doing the Hybrid Real Estate Professional podcast. I've had some of the most fruitful, incredible conversations. That entire library will still be available on this feed. You can check it out. Dozens and dozens of amazing interviews and topical episodes. But I'm very excited in 2026 to bring you more targeted, actionable insights that you can take and use in your own business. And I'm going to be talking directly to you guys. I would love to interact and engage with you as much as possible. So if you have any feedback on this format, the direction the show is heading, or anything that you would like to see, please shoot me a comment or email me directly at aaron@aaronamin.com. So with that said, thank you for listening to the first episode of the 20 Minute Investor, and we'll be back with you next week with more insights.